Hey guys. So, it is that week that I mentioned in my last video where my folks are out of town, and so I have the whole house to myself, other than most days after, except for tomorrow. Um, I have my niece for a few hours. Not more than like 3 or 4 at the most. Uh, just waiting for my sister to get off of work and everything. So I've been enjoying myself. I've been eating way too much junk food. But you know, one week where I don't have to hide um, the candy or the pop or whatever I might have with me. Now I am still attempting to exercise daily, and I'm also still attempting to eat mainly healthy stuff. Um, Not really anything in the way of. I mean, I had, other than the other day, um, Saturday, the first day, because I had my niece all day from like 10 ish until 7. Um, so we decided we were going to have dinner and pick up fast food. So we picked up fast food and ate it at home. But even then, I had like a grilled chicken sandwich for, small fries and not much other than that. So I've been trying to be good, guys, but I just cannot resist that chocolate, that sweet, sweet chocolate, especially considering I went to Walgreens earlier today because I have 2 prescriptions that I take, and one of them needed refilled, so I refilled that. And I walk into Walgreens, and what do I see? The Halloween candy's out. So, of course, I had to get. Um, I really like the individually wrapped chocolate pumpkins. They're like shaped like pumpkins, but they have like different flavors inside. So I had to get a couple of those. Um, Other than that, though, um, I was kind of sick a couple of days ago. I mean, not really anything super bad, but just kind of, I don't know. It was kind of a lower intestinal issue, if you know what I mean. And we'll leave it at that. But, yeah. So, I, rewatched the last video I made for you guys just because it had been a while and I completely forgot what all I talked about. So, we are going to talk tonight about Little Nightmares 2. And in particular, a couple of potential theories I have. Now, I know what you're saying. I'm really late to the party, and probably everyone and their brother has already mentioned all the theories. Well, there is one that I haven't really heard that much about. Heard people questioning very much. So right out the gate, spoilers for Little Nightmares 2 and Little Nightmares 1. So we find out, first off, that Little Nightmares 2 is actually a prequel to Little Nightmares 1, because this one is 6, and she's traveling with a young boy named Mono. And they're helping each other out with puzzles and figuring out, rescuing each other, that kind of thing. And just when you think, oh, this is so sweet, they're going to be buds, they're going to be together. Yeah, it doesn't end up that way. And so basically, what we find out at the end of Little Nightmares 2 is that Mono either replaces or grows up to be the Thin Man, who is the main antagonist, I guess, of the he's the one who he's in the signal tower, and he's the one causing everybody to warp and distort and to get sucked into the televisions and all that stuff. So basically what happens is, throughout the game, especially after you play as Monarch, and in the beginning of the game you encounter 6. Now this is the question that I have, I guess. It's not so much of a theory, but here's the question. At the beginning of the game, and we quickly learn that Mono has the ability to travel from television to television. That's how he fast travels, basically. And instead of just running everywhere or, riding like an elevator or whatever like that. Like, if he wants to get from one place to another place really quick, he gets into a television and he, will zip out, pop through another TV on the other side of town or whatever. So, this is a question that I have. And like I said, I don't think this has really been mentioned that much. But at the very beginning of the game, we see Mono very slowly running down a hall, trying to reach a door on the other side. And this door has the eye symbol that's throughout the whole games and comics and everything. So he basically is trying to reach this door on the other side, and we have no idea why. We have no idea what's on the other side of the door yet. We find out toward the end of the game, but when we start the game, we don't find out. And then he tries to reach the door, but he can never reach the door. And something or someone pulls him out. And he ends up being in this wooded area. And so he gets up and starts exploring and stuff. And he finds hunters' traps and, stuff with, dead bodies and, or cages that house, whatever. And so he keeps going. Eventually he reaches what's called the hunter's cabin. So this hunter guy lives out in the woods, totally on his own, you know, and the other thing I find interesting, especially considering once we find out the importance of the televisions later on, I find it interesting that there are no TV. There's plenty of TVs out in the woods, but there's no TVs in the hunter's cabin. The hunter doesn't have a television. He doesn't, you know, and he keeps busy. He has hobbies, we'll call it. So basically, Mono sneaks into the hunter's cabin, makes his way to a certain room, and you start hearing a very familiar tune. And he looks like the door is like starting to break down, but still pretty solid. And he looks through the door, and there's this little girl. And she is playing a music box. The music box is playing Six's tune from Little Nightmares 1. So right away, we're looking, everybody's thinking, is that Six? But we don't know at this point because she doesn't have her raincoat at this time. So Mono gets an axe, breaks down the door, and gets Six out of there. And so he and Six, do puzzles and, maneuver contraptions and all that. And they eventually escape the hunter's cabin. And of course they get chased by the hunter and they end up having to, shall we say, dispatch him. They take care of him, let's put it that way. And and then they find a door in on the shore of this lake or whatever it is. And they sit on the door. They use the door as raft, and they float until they reach a place called the Pale City. And then they have all these other different adventures, and eventually they come into this alleyway, and what's laying there? A yellow raincoat. And Six puts it on very slowly, and I like the effect that the creators did for it, because in Little Nightmares 1, she's going through the mall trying to make her way to the lady, and every time she would eat in the game, the lights would flicker, and the little dark version of herself, the little shadow version of herself, would pop up at somewhere in the scene. So, of course, when they come across her raincoat and she goes to put it on, the lights start flickering and her theme starts playing, and it's like, oh, it's kind of like Thor, getting his infamous hammer, and it's like destiny, But here's my question. So, like I said, the beginning of the game, Mono it looks like he's pulled out of the television. It looks like he is Well, and here's the other thing. Maybe we should explain this a little bit. As Mono and Six explore, as Mono and Six go through their adventures and stuff, there are times when Mono will place his hand on a television screen and he'll tune it with his mind, and he'll go inside the TV, and he'll be in that hallway, and he'll be running really slow down the hallway trying to reach that door. And once he meets Six, and Six joins him on his adventures, she pulls him out several times. She is the one who reaches in somehow and grabs him and, and rips him out. Now, people were probably like, well, why is she doing that? Why is she preventing him from running down that hallway, from opening that door? Well, we find out at the very end, close to the end of the game, that the Thin Man, or his older grown-up self, is behind that door. And for some reason, when the door is closed, the Thin Man can't come out. But if somebody opens the door, then he's free. And of course, the first thing he does once he's free and out is he starts following Mono back out of the television. And Six, that final time, he reaches the door, he opens the door, and then he's pulled out again, and Six is like, what I really like about the Little Nightmare games is that they're so expressive, but there's very little talking in the game. And it's very visual. It's very much a visual game. And so Six and Mono are on the ground outside the TV, and Six looks over at him, and you can just kind of tell she wants to go, why do you keep doing that? That is not good. That is not a good thing. And sure enough, and they're sitting there, and and all of a sudden you see these big long hands on the television on the other side, and Six is scrambling back and going, come here, come on. And Mono's just and I still do not know whether, I guess that's another question I have. Did Mono know? Because I've heard a lot of people say that it's a time loop. That it's just going to keep happening, and that he's going to keep that these events will keep playing out the same way until hopefully eventually they're broken. And I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, how did Six know to pull Mono back? How did Mono know that he needed to open the door? Did or does Mono know that um, that that he himself is on the other side of that door? Does he not? And that's the other thing. I think that, and this is my main question. This was a question that I had when I kept watching other people play it and stuff. Because I can't play it on my own. My computer's too old and it won't handle it. But like at the beginning of the game, and we quickly find out, especially at the end, when, because the Thin Man kidnaps Six, takes her away, and we find out that that's why she doesn't have a soul, or her dark self keeps showing up, because she has a what do I want to say? Like, because you know how in Little Nightmares 1, every time she got hungry and every time she ate, the lights would flicker like crazy, and somewhere in that scene would be a little dark version of Six. So here's my question. You know, does, you know, did Mono, like in the comics, well, this is, in the comics, apparently, it shows that Six was in the woods and got caught by the hunter, and so the hunter took her to his house. For some reason, he kept her a prisoner rather than rather than uh he has the hobby of taxidermy, and he has bodies around his house that were human at one point, and he's preserved them and stuffed them and set them up in like different scenarios and stuff. Now, I believe it was Terrico, which you guys should totally check out because he does a lot of really good theories. He plays a lot of these games and that kind of stuff. So check him out. Terrico, I believe if you just type that into YouTube, you'll find him. But I think it was Terrico who mentioned that possibly his theory was that the hunter was using Six as bait. Because, like I said, the hunter didn't have had no televisions out in his house, near his house, anything like that. They were in the woods. They were in the woods a little bit away from his house, but they weren't in his house. So, I believe Terrico, I'm trying to remember what exactly he said, but I believe he said something to the fact that he thinks that the hunter captured Six, knowing who she was or who she would become, and used her as bait. And I can't remember anything really beyond that, like who she was supposed to be bait for. But maybe the Thin Man. Maybe he hoped the Thin Man would come and take Six away and, that kind of thing. Not sure. But, so my question is, why does Mono save Six? Now, a lot of people just take it as surface value and just be like, well, Mono's a kid. And like I said, in the comics, it shows that Mono was in the woods when Six got captured by the hunter, and so he decided to go save her. And that makes sense. But why? That's why I don't. Like, to me, it almost makes sense that, especially if it is true that Mono is in a time loop and he is constantly trying to save himself, his older self. Like, if he knows that that's him on the other side of the door, then he would be trying to free himself. But here's the question. Does Mono know, like I just wonder, because I've heard a couple different versions. I've heard people say that, well, Mono and Six don't remember when the loop restarts or whatever. They don't remember that they knew each other, and they don't, that kind of thing. And maybe not, but I've seen the movie Groundhog Day, and after a while, you get to the point where you're like, I've lived this day before. This has happened before. And it's not just deja vu. So I guess basically I'm just kind of like, does Mono know? Does Mono know? Is that why he keeps trying to go through the television to reach that door? Is he trying to save himself? And does he know that he needs Six for that reason? Is he not as innocent as we think he might be? Or is he innocent? Does he not remember? I guess it just kind of depends whether or not you believe that it is a time loop. And I can't remember who originally said, it may have even been the developers of the game. They may have come out and said, yes, it's a time loop. Yes, he keeps reliving this. I just can't remember for sure. But, I always wondered that. How did he know? Because it doesn't show in the comics, apparently. Yeah, it says, it shows that Mono was in the woods. He saw Six get captured by the hunter, and he decides to go save her. And if that's all it is, then, it's just a really sad story because it's two people who slowly grow to trust each other, slowly become friends, and then at the very end, they betray each other. And so, and I've also heard a lot of people say, um, because at the very end of the game, six after six loses her soul. Her soul leads Mono to where he needs to go, and then he has one final face off with the Thin Man. He destroys the Thin Man, and then he brings this little bitty guy, brings this massive tower, signal tower, to him. He's like, I'm tired of walking, you are coming to me. And so he's like, okay, and he goes in, finds Six has been twisted and enlarged, and somehow she's got her music box back. Well, her music box. I think it's just a figment or whatever. And she's playing with the music box. She's very protective of music box. And I loved watching everybody play this because there comes a point where they realize, I have to break this. This is what's keeping her here. I have to break this music box. And it's so hard because you have to do it so many times. And poor Six is just distraught. And also she's very large at this point, and she can easily smush Mono. And so so basically what happens is Mono finally destroys the music box. But here's the other thing. Right before the final battle between the two Monos, between Mono and the Thin Man, Mono, all throughout the game, Mono's worn this bag over his head. Right before the epic battle, he takes the bag off and sets it down, and it floats away. And it's like, oh, it's kind of like in certain movies where the hero will be like, do something that makes you know he's about ready to, go after the bad guys or whatever. And so he defeats the Thin Man, brings the tower to him. But here's the thing. Six has seen the Thin Man's face. So, once she's back to her normal self, she sees his face. And she realizes, she sees the resemblance. She's like, what? In her brain, I'm sure she's either thinking, that Thin Man who grabbed me, twisted me, turned me into what that was. That's the kid version. My friend who I've been hanging around and going all this way is the same person. And so her little brain is just like, and also, I, I've seen so many comments from people who say, how could Six do that to Mono? And I'm like, number one, she doesn't have a soul at this point. Her soul has been forcefully ejected from her body. She's been ripped in two, essentially. So her soul is out there at some point. And so she's like, so she doesn't have soul. So maybe, she doesn't have the compassion or whatever that she may have had before. Also keep in mind that she most likely just put two and two together and realized this person. Well, keep in mind also, not only did she just figure out the Mono and the Thin Man are one and the same, just different versions, but also she was perfectly safe in the hunter's cabin. Now, would she have stayed safe in the hunter's cabin? I don't know. But she may have been perfectly safe in there. So, and if, like what Terako said is true, and the hunter was trying to use Six as bait, maybe they had a plan. Maybe it was, you stay here. I'm going to lure the Thin Man or the lady or whoever out here. They're going to come out and try to find you, but I won't let them find you. I'm going to, shoot them with my gun. Because he has big hunter's rifle that he uses. So, and maybe that's also why the hunter had so many traps scattered around through the forest. Maybe he was hoping that somebody would come along, not know about the traps, and get themselves caught. So, but yeah, that's kind of my question is, did Mono know that he needed Six in order to get to the tower? In other words, what I'm wondering is this, because the people who think that it's time loop and it keeps going over and over again, or that time is broken, that's another thing Terako brought up, that he thinks not necessarily that it's a loop, that time is broken and time works differently and stuff like that. Did Mono know? Is this... Because, the first time you play the game, you tend to think, oh, so that was the start of the time loop. Maybe not. Maybe. And this is kind of my theory, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll keep in mind I haven't played the game for myself, so I don't know. But could the games that everybody's been playing, could that have been a second, third, 10th loop if it is a time loop, could Mono have, could it have started out with Mono sitting in a tree in the forest and seeing Six get captured, and he decides, oh, I've got, let's go save her. Two is better than one, or whatever. So, why does it change? I mean, if he's in the forest and he sees the hunter take Six, you would think he would just simply follow behind, watch where they go, and then go in and get her. Instead, and this is my other thing that may kind of hopefully express that. What if, so Six, maybe it started out that way. And then maybe Mono eventually figured out, after so many loops, maybe it changed just slightly enough so that it starts out with him being in the woods with the... Because here's the thing. It doesn't start out with Mono trying to save Six. It starts out with Mono running down that hallway trying to open that door. So my theory is that the game that we see being played out is into the loop. It's not like the first time this has happened. It's however many loops it's been. So, but yeah, so, I just had a brain fart. Sorry, guys. So he's running. It starts out, he's running down that hall, trying to get to that door. And then someone or something pulls him out. What if that someone is Six? What if Six and Mono, by this point, they know their roles, they know what they're supposed to do and stuff. What if, what if Mono is trying to do something different, and instead of going after Six right away, he's trying to free himself, trying to free his older self. And so he's doing that. What if Six, right before she gets captured by the hunter, what if she reaches into the television and pulls him out? Says, no, you do not open that door. Yanks him out, and then he pops out of the forest and then goes to save Six. Because that was the other thing that I couldn't figure out, was why he kept trying to go down that hallway. Everything else in the game I could kind of see as we'll escape together kind of thing. But the more I think about it, the more I think Mono was using Six as bait. He was trying to, like, maybe he didn't even mean to. Maybe he didn't mean to, you know, cause her to be captured and twisted and all that. But maybe he knew that he needed Six to free himself for some reason. Again, I'm not really sure, and again, I don't really know 100%, but I guess it kind of makes sense to me. And it would explain who pulled Mondo out of the television the first time, because there was nobody else around, and if Six had just gotten grabbed by the hunter, it's very possible that right before she was captured, she was like, she saw him, knew what he was doing, and was like, it was like, nope, you are not going down that hallway. You are not going to open that door. Because she knew what would happen. And I mean, it was kind of like, like people would play the game for the first time and they would be like, but Cassia does a buddy adventure. These two people come across each other and they decide to go on their adventure together or escape together or whatever. But what if, and like I said, I still haven't figured out why Mono would want to rescue Six. Because she keeps pulling him from the TV, stopping him from reaching the door. Or she keeps, like, they help each other a lot. But they also kind of differ a little bit in their methods of exacting justice, let's put it that way. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think do you guys think this is, by the time we play the game, that it's been multiple loops already and that Six and Mono at least are kind of aware of what's going on? Maybe they don't know everything. Because like I said, I think at the very end, Six was shocked when she returned to normal size and she saw Mono for the first time without his bag. I'm pretty sure that was a shock for her. And she was just like, oh no, And then they have to escape. And he runs. All through the game, she's been catching him and pulling him up. Last time, she has him hanging over that ledge, looking at him, and she hesitates, and then she drops him. And, like I said, so many people seem to make comments of, how could Six do that? It's like, number one, she doesn't have a soul, so she probably doesn't have that empathy, compassion that you normally would have in that situation. Number two, she very likely just realized that Mono and the Tin Man are the same person, or that they're related, or something. 3, and 3 is kind of tied to 2, she probably clicked in her head, oh, that's why he kept running to the television. That's why he kept trying to open that door. He was trying to free himself. And 4, and this is another thing that I think Terrico brought up, because after Mono succeeds in breaking the music box, after 6 shrinks back down to her normal self, after they look at each other for a hot second, the walls of the signal tower break down and become this massive pile of eyes. Well, think about it. The viewers, we keep up to this point, we keep coming across people whose faces are all sunk in, and we come across people who literally put their faces into the television screen, or are sucked into the TV. There's this mass thing of eyes. They're still viewing. They're still viewing the signal. And who's the signal? It's not the Thin Man anymore. It's Mono. So, and I mean, think about it. Throughout the game, as we're playing Mono, and as Mono is moving closer to his goal, the viewers, think about it. Yeah, if the television's on, they're absorbed in, they're riveted to the TV. They keep watching the screen no matter what. We turn the TVs off. They turn around and follow Mono. And Terrico mentioned this in a theory, and I was and he was showing that whole thing. It's they're not following 6. They're not trying to get 6. They're following Mono. Their signal is running away, and they're following him. Because at the end, after 6 drops Mono and he falls and lands, he's surrounded by all the eyes, but they don't hurt him. They don't hurt him. They don't kill him. They just watch him. Because he's their signal. So, now, did 6 know that was going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think she did. I think even if it is a further on loop, even if it's not the first loop, I don't think she knew that that Mono was the Thin Man. Or I don't think she knew that. See, and that's another thing I don't really know. And it's really hard to tell because, like I said, there's very little talking in the game. And there's no, English. There's no words. There's no, like, language that you can interpret and be like, oh, she knows, or oh, she doesn't, or, whatever. But if I had to guess, I would say that she probably doesn't know. That she probably didn't know that Mono and the Thin Man were the same person. So, and if she did, I mean, maybe she did, but again, we don't know for sure. But yeah, but I just thought I thought the ending was absolutely brilliant. The ending. So Six drops Mono, walks through the portal, and of course, Six can absorb others' powers, so she absorbed just enough Mono's power so that she could use the TV portal and go through the TV. Now, here's my other question. How could she reach through the television and pull Mono out every time? Did she always have a power, or maybe an immunity to the TV, to the signal? Maybe? Maybe not? And of course, then we could get into the whole, well, because she was warped and corrupted by the signal tower, she has immunity to it, or whatever. And that could be. But, like, I just find it just fascinating. I love picking apart these little things and just being like, what do you guys think? If you feel like it, leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on. I will probably upload another video. I have 5 more days before my folks get back. And tomorrow, matter of fact, tomorrow may be the day that I record a new video, because tomorrow is one day, well, besides Sunday. I didn't have show on Sunday either, but tomorrow's the one weekday where I won't have Shay and all of that. So, but yeah, I'll record another video. I'll upload it. Not sure what I'm going to talk about. We'll figure that out. If you also want to, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like me to discuss next. Would you like me to discuss the game? Would you like me to talk about Wizard Unite? Would you like me to talk about... Oh, I know what. Record a new video on the new game I've been playing called Sky Children of the Light. Very pretty. Very, really cool. So, I may very well record a video about that. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to get this out. I've been thinking about the theories and everything for a while, but yeah, it's like, Terrico recorded a video about that, and he was like, they're following Mono. The eyes do not ever hurt Mono, and they do not ever look like they're going after Six. They look like they're following Mono. They're following the signal. Especially because at the point that this is all happening, Mono is the only Thin Man left. even though he's not there yet. But I've also heard some people say that they think 6, if there ever is a Little Nightmares 3, that 6 might have realized that and have realized that, if we leave together, these eyes are going to follow us, these viewers are going to follow us, and we won't ever get to do what we need to do. So she drops him, books it out of there. And then, like I said, I love the secret ending. And it apparently is a secret ending, and not everybody got it. But, if you do certain things, you see 6 coming out of the television into an abandoned room with the TV on. And then you see Dark 6, or her shadow, or her soul, or whatever it is, come before her. The shadow. And again, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about there's no language in the game, but they communicate so well by body language. The Shadow 6 turns her head just slightly to the left and looks down, and on the floor there's a flyer for the Maw. And she looks back at 6 and then disappears. And it's like, and that's what I think is super cool, because then Little Nightmares 1, which ends up being the sequel to Little Nightmares 2, 6 goes to the Maw to find, and this is something, I can't remember if it was Terrico who said this or if it was somebody else, but I remember reading maybe a theory that 6 knew that she needed more power than what she had. So she dropped Mono knowing that he would survive. And she said, I'm going to the Maw. Because maybe she knew about the lady. She says, I'm going to the Maw. I'll get the power I need. I'll absorb the power I need in order to get. Because at the end of Little Nightmares 1, she walks out of the Maw. And she, at the very, very end, I think it shows her waiting on the outside of the Maw in the sunlight, and in the distance, you hear a boat. You hear a boat horn. So she's got her. Now, no idea if she absorbs all the energy of the guests who are coming on that boat, or if she's just using the stowing away on the boat and getting back to the Pale City. But I kind of like to think that she dropped Mono, but she was going back for him. She's going back for him. And if there's ever a Little Nightmares 3 or DLC or whatever, I think it'll show her going back, making her way, maybe in a different section of the Pale City or something else, and eventually getting back to where Mono is. And because she's absorbed his power, or she's absorbed enough of his power, she could probably be the one running down the hallway, being like, I'm going to save you. I'm going to get you out of there. Maybe. Or maybe that's why the loop is going. Maybe the loop is still going because she needs to, maybe there's another way that both Mono and Six can be saved. But yes, that's my thought process on it. I don't know if I necessarily call it a theory, but it's definitely a thought process. So yeah. So I will upload this as soon as possible. Hopefully, maybe tonight, if not tomorrow. Because like I said, I have tomorrow completely off and be a perfect time. So, I hope you guys are having a great day, a great week. Relax, take it easy if you can. Remember, I love you. I am so appreciative and thankful for you guys watching my videos, listening to me ramble, just everything. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.